Shalom, this is Reb Yoseph Schreiber coming to you from the land of Israel. This week is Parshas Parah. It's basically the second of four parshas that are dedicated to the holiday of Pesach. The idea of synagogue, the Yiddish word shul, it's related to the English word for school. You're supposed to be learning it there. That's part of the aspect of the religious service. What you'll have is a special haftorah that relates to an upcoming holiday, and then you have something called yotzros. Some congregations say them, some of them omit them. They can be lengthy, but what they're doing is teaching you about the holiday as well as generating enthusiasm for the holiday. Now, this week, as I said, is Parshas Parah. The idea revolves around purity related to the holiday and in preparation for the holiday. Now, the aspect of purity, it would seem to include a certain amount of physical cleanliness, the idea that you should take a bath and clean your clothes in preparation for the holiday, or as well as particularly in going up to the Temple Mount. It also involves spiritual purity, and that this is where you're talking about the Parah Aduma, the mitzvah of the red cow. The idea is that if a person has come in contact with a dead body, touching a corpse, for instance, if a person's a soldier or they're in the Chevra Kadush, the group that is involved with the burial of the dead, the burial society. This would put a person in contact with a dead body. You specifically have to wash the corpse after the person passes away. Dress it in a shroud, put it in the coffin. It also includes, when you're talking about being tamei made, if a person's a pallbearer, they would be tamei made. If a person's involved with the burial of the body, tamei made. If they're even in the same room with a corpse, say when someone passes away, these are all aspects of tamei made. Also, a soldier who's involved with a battle would be assumed to be tamei made after a battle. And in order to be purified of tamei made, it requires the ashes of the red heifer, a cow that's entirely red. It's an elaborate ritual. It's sacrificed, it's burnt into ashes. The ashes are combined with water, and then they are sprinkled on the person who is tamei made, and then they are considered pure. It's a week-long activity, the third day of the week, the seventh day of the week, if I remember correctly. You also have other forms of ritual impurity, touching a sheretz, say a dead lizard or a dead mouse. Various opinions of the animals that are considered the 8 sharatzim. These are also lesser forms of tuma of a person. Touches the carcass of an animal that died from a means other than a proper slaughter, an animal that died on its own. They'd be tamei made. Case, a gonorrhea and masturbation make a person tamei. Leprosy makes a person tamei. And there are prescribed laws concerning the purification of this tumah, this defilement. It may be something that's not much more complicated than taking a shower. There's other ones that are much more complicated. The most complicated one being tamei made. So the Haftorah also talks about Tameh, but it talks about it here. It's much more spiritual, where it talks about how the children of Israel have defiled the land basically through bad character and bad behavior, particularly bloodshed and adultery. So, in other words, a person's misdeeds, or if they're just generally offensive, gives them an aspect of tuma. They become impure, they become defiled. And what the Haftorah says is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will sprinkle them with clean water, and after that he will replace their heart of stone with a heart of flesh. Meaning that the idea of being hard is an aspect of being evil. A person should have some compassion and feeling. And tuma and hardness are considered aspects of evil as well. Now, when you're talking about removing the, shall we say, the stain of tuma, okay, as I said, it can be easy or it could be very elaborate. Okay? The idea is that the person feels a bit dirty, even though they may not be physically dirty. You have a situation where it's a mischievous child playing with a dead lizard, or a person who ate treif meat, or it could be a person who is a good person, but they were simply involved in the caring for the needs of the deceased. So you have to do something with them to show that they really are clean. You have to emphasize this point. That this is the aspect of taking a shower even though you're not really dirty, or sprinkling the ashes of the red cow on a person who was in the Kavra Kadisha and saying, you are now pure. Now the aspect of purity is important because one cannot eat the Korban Pesach if one is not in a state of ritual purity, nor can one go up to the Temple Mount. The idea is that a person has to be pure to take part in service of Hashem. Now, to illustrate this point, I'll tell a story from my childhood. When I was a little boy, I went to the farmer's market with my grandmother, who I loved very dearly, and she went to the butcher and she picked out a chicken out of the cage while it was still plucking, and she gave it to the butcher, and he took it in the back and he slaughtered it, plucked it, and brought it back out to her. And this was the way that she was accustomed to doing it while she was a little girl in Romania. Most people will just simply buy their chickens from the supermarket, and they prefer to pay somebody else to pluck the feathers and that type of thing. So I was a little bit distraught about the whole situation, and I turned to my grandmother and I said, Grandma, you killed the chicken. And my grandmother correctly picked up on what I was talking about and realized that I was the type of kid who did not like to eat meat. The beginning of a real problem when you're talking about little children. Getting them to eat proper foods, getting them to eat protein. So what she did was she smiled at me with a big smile and said with wonder in her voice that the shochet is a very holy man. before he slaughters the chicken, he says a blessing and he says another bracha after he slaughters it. And with that, I was reassured. Then, when she brought the chicken home and she started to clean it, she gave me a lesson in biology, a lesson in reproductive biology, a lesson in kashrut, examining the entrails of the chicken. Okay? And my mother claimed that my grandmother was a bit of a character. After that, basically, I ate meat fine. I like meat today. I don't like the way it looks, and especially when it's raw. But it would seem that my grandmother's appeal to religion and the great unknown spared everybody a lot of aggravation. And this is what we're talking about with the Parah and the preparation of purity for the holiday and all of these purification rituals. It's a case where at times a person really does feel dirty. Now, it could be that he's physically dirty and then he has to take a shower, or it could be that he's physically clean, but he's just simply had to do unsavory things, or he did unsavory things. He could be doing unsavory things simply because he's a good person. He has to deal with a world that at times can be very difficult. Or it could be that he's done some bad things and he has regrets about them, and he basically, shall we say, wants to wash his hands of the whole situation. So the whole point of this is to have a ritual that at times is elaborate and is times not really understandable, but nevertheless it shows that whatever it was that he was in contact with, it's been washed away. In this way, it becomes possible for the person to accept a heart of flesh, abandon a heart of stone, and truly enjoy the Pesach holiday on the Temple Mount. Thank you.